It's muted.
That's for the
Okay. Okay.
May it please the court, Zainab, follow me for the defendant, my lord.
All right. Then, what's happening? For the defendant. Very well. I hope everybody hears me. This is the judgment of the court. Yes, I'm going to do only the introductory parts and the very end of the judgment, because I'm sure everybody can, through the CTC of these judgments, know
As
what
a
the court
consequence.
says. Yes. So the claimant was employed as a sub-manager by the defendant on the 13th day of August 2014. The claimant alleged in the defendant's employment, he was severally posted to different branches of the defendant. Given alleged toxic and unfair work conditions, the claimant further alleges that he constructively terminated his employment with the defendant. It is the claimant's claims that the defendant refused to pay the claimant his bonus and terminal benefits. The defendant, on his part, denies the claimant's claims and maintains that the claimant is indebted to it, having applied for a personal staff loan few months before he says it, which the claimant had not offset. The claimant seeks against the defendant the following reliefs: the endorsement on his statement of facts. A declaration that the defendant constructively terminated the claimant's employment when the defendant, without notice to the claimant, unilaterally recalled defendant's official car and driver that drove the claimant to venues of a business meeting with the defendant's customer, and consequently denied claimant access to the defendant's virtual and physical work environments. B, a declaration that the claimant is entitled to bonus payments for the period of year 2017 to 2019. C, of commission for January to May 2019. D, an order directing the defendant to pay to the claimant a terminal benefit or severance payment, howsoever called, at a sum not less than 8 million naira. E, an order directing and compelling the defendant to pay to the claimant's bonus entitlement in the sum of 6,600,000 naira. F, an order directing and compelling the defendant to pay the claimant the sum of 926,666 naira 7 kobo. Being commissioned, the claimant is entitled to for months of January to May 2019. G, an offer directing the defendant to make remittance of the claimant's NHF deductions for the periods of January 2019 to July 2019. H, an order directing and compelling the defendant to pay to the claimant general damages at the sum of 22 million naira only, under the circumstance. I, an order of the Honorable Court directing and compelling the defendant to pay to the claimant special damages in the sum of 2.5 million naira as counsel's professional fees and cost of action. J, an order of the court directing and compelling the defendant to pay to claimant interest on the judgment sums at the rate of 21% monthly from the date of judgment until the judgment sums are fully liquidated. K, for such further orders, or as this court may deem fit to make in the circumstance. Okay. So upon receipt of the claimant's originating processes, the defendant will leave of court, enter the appearance, file the statement of defense counterclaim, wherein the defendant's counterclaimant sought the following against the claimant's defendant to the counterclaim. A, the sum of 11,750,240 naira 25 kobo, being the claimant's indebtedness to the defendant as at 19th of January 2022. B, 27% interest per annum on the judgment sum until the same is fully paid. So the claimant filed a reply to the defendant's statement of defense and defense to his counterclaim. At the close of pleadings, the claimant testified as CW1. He adopted his written depositions as his evidence in chief. Through him, a total of 23 documents were tendered in evidence, admitted and marked as exhibits C1 to C23 respectively. C1 was cross-examined and thereafter closed his case. On the defendant counterclaimant's behalf, one Frank Ehikioya, a human resource shared service manager, testified as DW1. He adopted his written deposition as his evidence in chief. Through him, 9 documents were tendered in evidence, admitted and marked as exhibits D1 to D9 respectively. The DW1 was cross-examined, after which the defendant counterclaimant closed his defense and counterclaim. The matter was then adjourned to enable the parties file and exchange their respective final addresses to be adopted at the adjourned date. It is at this point that I will not read out the submissions of both counsel in their final written addresses, but they really made their submissions and cited authorities, plethora of authorities to support their submissions. Then at the end of the final written addresses, the court started the resolution. And I'm not going to read out all the points made by the court, except to say that the court distilled the issues below for determination. And these were: A, has the claimant placed before the court sufficient materials in proof of his claims before the court on the balance of probabilities? 2, is the counterclaimant entitled to the relief sought against the defendant to the counterclaim? These are the 2 issues that the court formulated and looked at in line with the submissions of side by side with the submissions of learned counsel, and also in line with the rules of court and other relevant laws. And the court started making his own conclusions and giving his own opinions, which I'm sure you will read when you get the certified copy of this. So the court will, because of the circumstances of this judgment, I will go straight to the conclusion of the judgment. So in conclusion, that is paragraph 59, the claimant's claims succeed in part. Likewise, the defendant's counterclaimant's claims, such that save the reliefs outlined below, all other claims sought in this suit fail and are hereby dismissed. The orders of the court are as follows. A, the defendant is hereby directed and compelled to pay to the claimant special damages in the sum of 2.5 million naira as counsel's professional fee and cost of action. B, the claimant defendant to the counterclaimant, counterclaim is ordered to pay to the defendant's counterclaimant the sum of 5,978,338 naira 60 kobo, being the claimant's indebtedness to the defendant. C, the claimant's defendant to the counterclaim is ordered to pay interest at the rate of 10% per annum on the judgment sum until same is fully liquidated. And that is the judgment of the court. Judgment is entered accordingly. Okay. So, counsel, I guess you know you can now apply to get the CTC and you read it. Please try and read it too, so you can make up your mind on what to do.
Yes, my lord. As the court pleases, my lord.
Very well. Today is 6. Thank you.